How do house auctions work with hard money loans? So there's a couple of things here, guys. There's different types of auctions, and most people don't even realize this. So one type of auction you have is public. Another type of auction you have is what's called private. These are very, very different types of auctions. A public auction is one that's happening typically during a foreclosure process. It's typically happening on the public courthouse steps, or it's happening in a courtroom. That is a public auction. A private auction is one where it's a private company, not going through the court system or the government or any of that stuff. It's a private company that's doing an auction. So for this, it's going to be like auctions.com. It's going to be like Hudson and Marshall. There's a couple of things that hard money lenders are going to need in order to close on the loan. Okay. First thing is they're going to need full title insurance. Second thing they're going to need is access to the property to go in the inside so they can see the condition and everything else like that. Typically that has to do with getting a value on the property, because the value can be greatly changed based upon the interior of the property. Number three, they're going to need is hazard insurance. Okay. Lots of times, not all the time, but in many states, if you're doing a public auction, you're not going to get these things. You're not going to get full title insurance. You're not going to get access to the property because somebody else already owns it until you actually bid. And then you have to do an eviction to get those people out of there if they are in there. And hazard insurance, you may or may not be able to get depending upon the property with the condition and everything else like that. So typically with public auctions, you pay cash the next day after the bid. Now, some states you have 10 days and some you have 14, but lots of them are the next day you have to come up with cash and the day of the bid, and you do that without seeing the property. Now, I will warn you, I've seen people buy what they thought were first mortgages that was actually second mortgages. So they bid, thought they got a good deal on it, come to find out that they bought a second position. There was a first position, Chase Bank or whatever, that was owed money. And what they don't understand is Chase Bank can actually foreclose them out, or they have to pay off Chase Bank. So this is really a more sophisticated strategy and a riskier strategy. I've bought 2 or 3 from the courthouse steps, but I did that with my own cash. So I'm buying it with my own cash. So when you get to the point where you have your own cash, you could look at doing these public auctions. However, without access to the property, without being able to get full title insurance and take on those risks, there's some things you can do to combat this one. This, you're just taking a guess. You're just assuming that it's in bad shape and hoping. And insurance, you probably can get a builder's policy or something that would cover that. But I don't really recommend you do that until you have cash to actually buy that yourself with your own money. Now, private auctions, on the other hand, most of the private auctions will provide full title insurance, access to the property, and hazard insurance. Now, not all of them, but that's really what you're looking for. So like on this one, they are not providing interior access to the property. Well, then I'm not going to be able to get in there to get a value done. So that's going to be one that I'm going to want to pass on. The point is here, you've got to make sure that you understand what you're getting yourself into when you're dealing with auctions. If you can't get inside the property, there is a much higher risk because you don't know what you're going to be met with when you walk in. It could be a pretty sight and it could be a horrible sight. Without title insurance, you don't know what position that you're getting. And if something does come back to you later, you don't have insurance to cover for that. So that can become an issue as well. And then hazard insurance is something that you're going to want to have as well. Maybe you can get it before with a public auction. With a private auction, typically these things are all set and provided where you can get inside the property, and then you can use hard money for those. Now, with any of them, irregardless of public or private, as long as we can get full title insurance, access the property, get the appraisal done, and get hazard insurance, we can lend on that property as long as we have the time frame in order to close on it.